I know. I wanted to ask you. So it seems like a lot of celebrities are kind of like voting for Trump now. I mean, why do you think people are kind of like changing their way of like?
I think we just did our research and we're just, we're not brainwashed anymore by the left.
Oftentimes it takes a really bad president in order to get a really good one. I mean, don't forget, you have Carter followed by Reagan. You have Obama followed by Trump. And of course, now you have Biden hopefully followed by Trump again. So people are being red-pilled all across the country. And this happens because of horrible policy, bad decision-making, which tends to go hand in hand with the left, with the Democrats. Of course, what's been happening is, on a bigger scale, more and more celebrities, more and more people of importance, more and more people of wealth and privilege are actually coming out and abandoning their leftist ways and going back to capitalism, to free market, to actually low taxes and common sense fiscal policy, not to mention closed borders and safety and security. So what we're going to see today, of course, is a smattering of these people coming out in support of Trump, which of course upsets the left to no end. So before we get into this, please like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
A lot of people were shocked with your, endorsement of Donald Trump. I mean, you're all about women's rights issues. I mean, what was the reason for the big change?
Is Donald Trump not for women's rights issues?
I mean, I guess a lot of people were asking.
He's trying to make America great again. That's for women too, right?
That's true. I mean,
okay. Well, there you go.
I know. Does him getting convicted change the way you view him?
Not at all.
I mean, do you think it'll help his chances getting reelected, or it'll hurt him?
I think it helps him more. I think
it helps him more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people see the injustice and what happened, and they want to vote for him more than ever.
I know. I wanted to ask you. So it seems like a lot of celebrities are kind of voting for Trump now. I mean, why do you think people are kind of changing their way of
I think we just did our research and we're just, we're not brainwashed anymore by the left. I can say that about myself. All these years I've been brainwashed and I'm not anymore.
So that, of course, was model Amber Rose, who apparently is a big feminist, and she comes out and says, hey, Donald Trump is the person for me, partially because of taxes, right? But also you have other people, such as, 50 Cent, right? Or 50 Cent, as it were. He comes out and he supports Donald Trump and actually sees why black men are aligning themselves with Donald Trump as well. Not to mention Lil Wayne, right? Lil Wayne, who got a pardon from Donald Trump. He comes out and embraces him as well. Not to mention you've got Snoop Dogg, Waka Flocka Flame. A whole bunch of people are coming out and saying, hey, Trump is the person for me. But I love how Amber Rose actually says that, you know what? For years, she was brainwashed by the left, but now she's awake. Right? And when this happens, by the way, you can't go back. Once your eyes have been opened, you can't go back to seeing things the same old way. You can actually see the truth. And I love how the reporter there from TMZ actually says, oh, you're a supporter of women's issues. How can you come out and support Trump? And she says, is Donald Trump against women's issues? And of course he's not. A lot of people like to try to tie in the whole Supreme Court Roe v. Wade thing with women's issues, when in actuality, that has just been thrown back to the states, and states that have bad policy can still keep making bad policy, and states that actually want to save lives and have good policy can do the same thing. So yes, Donald Trump is for making America great again, which of course includes women, as Amber Rose says. So I find that whole thing hilarious. Now, her story, of course, is similar to Russell Brand. He has been a big leftist for a long time, a big liberal, okay? But he's actually had a big awakening after his recent cancellation attempt, not to mention all of the COVID lockdowns, etc., that have opened his eyes to the oppression government can actually put upon its people.
Condemnation in which people that support Donald Trump are plainly held by his detractors. And this is while you have an administration that's emulating his policies, plagiarizing from Donald Trump, while simultaneously criminalizing him through the weaponization of the legal system. In a straight choice between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, if you care about democracy, if you care about freedom, I don't know how you can do anything other than vote for Donald Trump for precisely the reasons that they claim that you can't vote for Donald Trump. They act as if a vote for Donald Trump is almost like you're directly voting for Armageddon. Like you see hysterical performances outside of courtrooms, endless MSNBC bombast. But I'm starting to think that no, a greater threat to democracy Is this kind of technological feudalism that tells you that it cares about you and it's protecting vulnerable people, all the while increasing censorship, increasing the funding of wars, increasing the division between ordinary Americans.
Before we continue, I want to mention that Joe Biden, of course, is causing massive inflation and devaluation of our currency. So what can you do to protect your investments? You can go to Genesis Gold Group and turn your 401k or IRA into a gold-backed retirement account. To do this, all you have to do is go to angryteachergold.com or call 1-800-200-4653 and get yourself back on the gold standard. Let's get back to it. Yes, if you really care about freedom, how can you support Joe Biden, the person who is weaponizing the DOJ and the FBI to align with big tech, to basically censor reporters, arrest reporters, and of course go after their political opponents, right? This is the proven track record that the Biden administration has been doing. And I love how Russell Brand has had this wonderful awakening to all of the evils of big government. But also, as I mentioned earlier, it takes really bad policy to get people to wake up to really good policy. And sometimes that's just enough to not necessarily make them vote for Donald Trump, but definitely to not make them vote for Biden.
I think if Biden loses this election, it's going to be because of two things. He's old and he can't get past that issue and people just hate that about him. And immigration. I mean, just on a political level, I don't think they could have handled it worse. Because now what's going on, if you didn't see the news this week, okay, here's what Biden's doing. He's finally, after saying he couldn't do anything, he's going to issue an executive order. By the way, this is the same executive order Trump tried to get through the courts, and they didn't let him do it. But he's going to finally try it 6 months before the election, which says we will put a cap of 2,500 now asylum seekers coming in. If it passes 2,500, if it's 2,501, then we automatically close the border. Fire marshal says, no more. He's going to come here and close the club. And if you don't have a stamp on your hand, you can't get back in. Okay. But when it goes down to 1,500, then we resume standard asylum procedures. It's like surge pricing with Uber. It's a bizarre scheme that, of course, has pleased nobody. It looks like a last minute, it looks like he did nothing. And of course, he did try through Congress, and the Republicans purposely spiked that football. They didn't want this bill because they wanted it as an issue. So they could have fixed it themselves. They didn't. But now it looks like this is his last minute before the election Hail Mary pass, and it's not going to succeed.
That's right, yeah.
It's not even a Hail Mary pass, though. Yeah. Hail Mary pass, the guy might catch it, right? Doug Flutie did it that one time. He did this knowing that it's going to be declared invalid by the courts.
And it's an admission that he could have done it the whole time, and he didn't. So now you broke it, you bought it, it's on him.
And so Bill Maher recognizes the two issues he mentions there, that yes, Joe Biden is old and everyone sees it, and his border policy sucks. So now he's trying to suppose a Hail Mary pass that is going to save his presidency somehow? No. And as rightly pointed out by the panel, it just proves all along that Joe Biden can stop this border garbage any time he wants. He came in and he undid all of Trump's border policies, 90 some odd, right? And by the way, Bill Maher offhandedly says, oh, the Republicans sunk that border deal bill. That border deal bill still would have allowed, I believe it was 2 million illegal immigrants per year into the country. That is not a border deal, all right? That's the exact same thing that's been going on, which, by the way, is what Joe Biden is still doing. That 2,500 a day, if it hits that cap, which, by the way, we have hit that cap, it still doesn't stop people from coming in. It just says we're going to try to level it to 1,500 a day, which still doesn't stop people from coming in. So all of this is complete and total garbage that Joe Biden, of course, owns. So at least Bill Maher is awake to the idea that this is bad policy, even though he's going to turn right around and vote for Joe Biden anyway, because he is still a dyed-in-the-wool leftist. Now, also, more good news on this front. I mean, it keeps getting better and better and better. Recently, Trump had this big fundraiser in Silicon Valley in Blue State, California, and of course, the billionaires are turning out in droves. Silicon Valley insiders told the Post they were impressed by eloquent and articulate Donald Trump at Thursday night's presidential fundraiser in the posh, stereotypically progressive San Francisco neighborhood of Pacific Heights. Now, of course, so this is the exact opposite of what insiders are saying about Joe Biden, that basically he's lost it, right? He is down a peg. The dementia is really setting in, right? He wasn't the guy I've seen on TV, one source at the event said. said, which raised north of $12 million, according to campaign spokesperson told by the Post. He was very thoughtful and self-deprecating, right? Because that's how normal people are. They can make fun of themselves, they can laugh at themselves, they have a sense of humor, they can have a good time. And that's what Donald Trump does very well. He comes across as being connectable versus Joe Biden, who just basically smiles and smirks at the camera and gets very upset if you disagree with him on anything. More than 100 people paid as much as $300,000 a head to attend the fundraiser hosted by venture capitalist David Sachs at his multi-million-dollar home, sources confirmed, right? So here we have all the big billionaires, all these big donors coming out in support of Donald Trump. Guests included crypto exchange founders Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, right? They, I believe, own Coinbase, Commissioner for the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission Jacob Hellberg, and by the way, Donald Trump is the only president to be tough on China. Those tariffs actually really hurt China in a big way, and they need to be brought back. Venture capitalist Chevron Pishver, CEO Tom Siebel of C3AI, and Joe Vabardil. I have no idea who those people are, but a big one was Chamath Palihapitiya. I have no idea how to say his name correctly, but yes, he was a big-time runner in Facebook. And of course, he runs the All In podcast, which has become very popular, but these are the people that are coming out in support of Donald Trump. And it is amazing to see the folks who normally are associated with the left, celebrities, models, and of course, venture capitalists. What are they doing? They're backing Donald Trump because they see the real threat, the real danger that a second Joe Biden administration would pose on the American people. So as usual, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.